Okay, so in the next exercise 5.8, we are going to count multiples. Okay, so what does this mean? We're given a list of numbers, so that's this one, and then we're given a number m, that would be this one, I think, and then we're going to see how many elements of the length are multiples of m, that is, they're divisible by m. So in this case it would be all numbers divisible by 2, so that would be all the even numbers. And then we need to count how many of those there are. So again, we are in a situation where it's quite easy to check this condition, like if a number is divisible by another. I'll show how you do that in a second at the very least. And then we just need to basically count how many occurrences there are of that. So this is a situation that I think clearly calls for a for loop over the elements of A, and then somehow accumulate how many satisfy the property. So let's go to this function and try to solve it. I'll go to Files, and we got multiples. There are two functions here, but let's just try to insert an example here in the bottom and print out multiples boom, and this one. So this should be all the even numbers. That is 2, 4, 6, 8. Okay, so it'll come as a shock, but I think I want to start with the debugger. So I insert a breakpoint here. I define a variable called count because my solution strategy revolves around counting how many multiples there are by checking the if each element is divisible by 2 and increasing count by 1 every time that happens. But I'm just going to start by defining count as 0 because I'm really tired and I want to do this a few steps at a time. So I select run, debug file, and it stops here. So now the program has stopped in the state it's in when we call count multiple. That is, numbers is going to be A, because that's what I call the function with, and the second argument, m, is going to be equal to 2. Let's just confirm it by doing a little bit of mouse over. We see that A has the right value. You can see that at the very top of the pop-up window, and M has the right value. Okay, so solution strategy. I have a for loop. Let's call the numbers in A for numbers for A for n. That's a good name for a number. So I loop over numbers and I print out n. Just to do that. So I print them out like this. How do I check if a number is a multiple by another? Well, in this case, you need to remember something that was defined very early on in ThinkPython. So when I learned how to divide numbers very early on, I learned that you can do whole integer division. And what does that basically mean? It means that if I do whole integer division of 23 by 5, so whole integer division by 5, I need to think about that would be equal to 4, and so let me write whole integer divided by 5. That would be equal to 4. Why? Well, that would be because 23 can be written as 4 times 5 plus 3. So this is 20, and then we need to add 3 to get to 23. And my math teacher would then say, well, this is called the remainder by whole integer division, because I'm sort of seeing how many times 5 can be added to itself in order to get close to 23 but not above it, and then I have a bit of a remainder, namely 3. So here's the question: how can I figure out that it's 3 in Python. Like, how do I get this number? That's where we have the modulus operator. So if I write 23 modulus 5, I actually get the 3 out. And that works in general. So if I had 24, I'll get 4 because it's equal to 5 times 4 plus 4. And if I do 25 modulus 5, it will be 0 because 25 is equal to 5 times 5. So you can verify for yourself that the modulus will be 0 exactly if a number is divisible by another. Let's just confirm that by just printing out the modulus. Let's print out n, and then we also print out n modulus of with n. And I run these 2 lines by selecting them and pressing Shift Alt E, like this. Then I run it, and now I can see this is not divisible, this is divisible, not is, not is, not is, and so on and so forth. So that seems to work. So basically what I need to do is I need to check if this is equal to 0. If it's equal to 0, it's divisible. In that case, I increase count by 1. So I say count equals count plus 1. I increase it by 1. And I think that's basically it. So maybe I print out divisible. Wow. Okay. Let's try to run this code and see if it works. So I select it. I just use the Shift Up keys to select the whole lines, Shift Alt E again. And now we see it prints out divisible a couple of times. It's a little bit hard to see exactly what goes on, but we can just do mouse over on count and see that it's 4, and I think that's fine. So let me just remove these lines that no longer serves a purpose, and then we can just return count. I stop the debugger, I remove the breakpoint, I run the code again. It says 4. That's what it says here. Sorry. So I could verify a couple of the other examples, but I think it's more interesting to just check all the tests at this point. I feel pretty confident about this one. And I don't think this is going to exactly work because there are 2 problems here, but I'll do the second problem in another video.